Today we're talking about the fact that most marketing does not work. One of the fundamental concerns I have about marketing is the misalignment between marketing and business. If you look at surveys around the world, and there are many of these now, but last year, for instance, out of 600 CEOs in the UK that we interviewed, 73% of them said their business and marketing objectives are not aligned. Guys, that's a fundamental problem, because it basically says that what we are doing in marketing, the activities we put out, and often the budget that we allocate to it, is not aligned to the fundamental growth in the business. And that, for me, undermines the very principle of marketing. And over time, I think it undermines our credibility, it undermines our functions, and it undermines the purpose of why we have a purpose in business. So for me, that is a really critical thing, and it's something I think we seriously need to address. There are other figures that will tell you that there are estimates, and there are also research that will say to you that 80+% of all of advertising is not even noticed. And it's even worse when you're a bank and institutions like that, or you're a short-term company. So the reality is a lot of marketing we do does not work. It does not mean there are not amazing examples of marketing that works. I mean, there are some of the most iconic brands in the world, from Nike through to Apple, through to F&B in South Africa, through to many other brands, BMW around the world, Audi the last couple of years, that have done, Old Spice, I can carry on, that have done unbelievably iconic advertising and marketing, and it has really worked for them. The hard reality, though, is those are exceptions, they're not the rule. In other words, in most instances, marketing does not work, and that, I think, is something we need to address. Now, marketing can only do two things, really. It can get customers and it can keep customers. It's as simple as that. It's a very simple discipline. And why that's important, that means to me that whatever we do in a business has to contribute in some way to either one of those two objectives. And I think the question has got to be, if we do anything in marketing that does not contribute to those two factors, then we must ask, why are we doing it? Is there a reason? Is there a fundamental purpose behind it? Now, I do understand in some instances there will be a corporate purpose where there's a government alignment, there's a certain opinion leader sector of the market that you want to try and influence. So there are exceptions to that rule. But in most instances, many companies do many things that do not in any way contribute to the business. In marketing, we tend to get into a scenario where there is a given budget. Year after year, we adjust it with inflation, and we actually, at one point, the budget has no relationship any longer with the business objectives of the company. So that, for me, is a major, major issue. So the question I have is, if you look at your marketing budget, is it a task-driven budget? Secondly, is everything in that budget, every single element that we have, does it either gain customers? Is a device to do that, or is a device to retain customers, therefore to get or to keep? And ask yourself quite harshly, because it's not going to change unless we do that. You know, the guys that will tell you, Tony Manning will say to you that if you don't change the design, how can you expect the outcome to change? And I think the principle of how we construct a marketing budget, how hard we are on ourselves about the business and marketing output being aligned, we've got to fundamentally ask, is everything we do in the business contributing to the business growth and retention of customers? Is it ultimately growing our brand value?